This is Launching Your Daughter podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Now, here is today's episode. Episode 59. Well, welcome everybody. Today's episode is for all the dads out there who are listening and raising adolescent girls. Whether you are the biological dad, the stepdad, or a male figure in her life, this episode is dedicated to you. At the time of this recording, next Sunday is actually Father's Day here in the United States. Dads, I know this stage of development for many of your daughters can be really challenging because this is the time that she begins to really pull away from parents. And sometimes girls will actually, distance themselves just a little bit from dad. And there's reason for that. And that maybe she's, feeling uncomfortable talking about her relationship she's got going on or any menstrual cramps that are going on. She doesn't necessarily want to share that with you, so she may share that with her mom or the female figure in her life that kind of helps support her as well in this journey. My hope is, after listening to today, you find some encouragement in staying connected with your daughter or daughters. I want to begin by stating how much my dad has impacted my life and continues to, along with sharing some insights from a colleague of mine regarding his experience with his daughters and the words he uses to encourage dads that he knows. I'm going to give you a little background about my dad. My dad is an engineer, and he's not the computer software type of engineer. It's more of like a mechanical engineer. He continues to amaze me with the skills of how he can figure out so many different things, whether it has to do with the car, or the house, anything like that. I know he learned quite a bit of that from his dad as well. I do know when I was a teenager, though, him showing me how to do some of these mechanical things and having a good understanding of it used to irritate me so much. So I want to tell dads, no matter what, whether your daughter rolls her eyes at you or not, know that you're planting the seed for her to be more empowered as she grows up because she actually is going to understand things better. My dad taught me how to change a car tire. He taught me how to change the oil in my car. He was really good with my brother and I and encouraging us since we were little about saving money and putting things back and living within your means. And he continues to do that even though we're both adults. I remember when I was a really little girl, I would just kind of hang out with him. And I remember, I don't know how old I was, but it was little. And I used to sit on his foot, grab a hold of his leg, and he would have to walk around with me on his foot and kind of carry me around. And we used to go up and down the stairs that way. So I know he got a really good workout, and I thought that was the fun thing to be able to do. As I got older and became a teenager, the typical developmental stage kicked in, right? I was like, oh, my dad doesn't really know anything. I think I know better than him. He didn't give up, though, on teaching me. He didn't give up and role modeling to my brother and I about gender equality. No matter what the chores were around the house, whether it was mowing the lawn, doing dishes, doing laundry, cooking, he would do that as much as my mom would. So he really showed me that in relationships, it can really be a partnership. It's not the old-fashioned kind of stereotypes where the female does all the inside stuff and the male does all the outside stuff. So no matter what that belief system is in your family, dads, I want you to know your actions and your words, when they match, you truly are role modeling that to your daughter. And whether you think she's getting it or not, you're truly planting the seed for as she gets older. It is getting in there. It truly, truly is. I am very grateful for my dad and all that he has taught me, and even him working through the times that we would have conflicts and I would argue with him, that he didn't give up, that he stayed connected with me. And even just the other day, there was something I was asking him, and of course it was mechanically inclined, and I'm like, well, this isn't working anymore, Dad. I need you to take apart this other thing so that I can have just the motor on that. And he's like, oh, well, did you try this? But I will now. And so I did what he suggested. Everything worked out just fine. So he continues to educate me regarding not only just mechanically things in life, but also just being able to stay connected. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay not to know, and to love one another. I know Dad didn't grow up in a house where there was a lot of his parents telling him how much he loved him, or there are a lot of hugging or anything like that. But we definitely do that now that we're adults. My brother and I do, and he says it more freely now too, which is really nice to be able to have that freedom to be able to share our feelings without worrying about, oh, what's going to happen, or it feels too awkward. So again, Dad, I'm going to encourage you to share that with your daughter. Again, even if she gets like, I know, Dad, do it anyways. You can't tell your daughters enough how much you care about them, how much you love them, and how much that you support them. Even if you guys disagree, you still love her. You may not have the same belief systems as she continues to get older and creates kind of her own and goes her own path, but role modeling to her how you have stuck with yours and how you're trying to pass that on to her, she'll get it. She truly, truly will. In this next part, I actually want to share a little more about, again, what I said. A colleague has written to not only his daughters, he sometimes will write them letters because it can be really difficult to say out loud without both of them or all three of them being in tears. So sometimes he writes them letters. Other times he is just, really encouraging not only young dads, but dads who have teenagers. So this is from Sovann Penn. And I'm going to actually interview him in another episode because he's got a book that's coming out that's specifically for dads. So here are some things that he gave me permission to read to you about what he's written for other dads and for his daughters. Sivan is actually a father of 3, and he has 2 daughters who are now 21 and 13. I'm not going to actually state their names right now because I just want to kind of keep that private for the moment. He said, one of the hardest things about being a dad of daughters is finding the courage to stay connected, while at the same time trying to find the courage to let them go as they become young women. My first moment as a dad wasn't joy. It was filled with complete fear and helplessness as the nurses and doctors rushed into the room. The joy came moments later. Our faith and trust in God as parents sometimes comes before and after the scariest moments. It was my first lesson as a dad. You're not in control, and you can't do it alone. Parenting can be really stressful, but it lightens when we remember every day, every breath is a gift. This is something that he wrote to his oldest daughter, and I'll just call her Kay, when she was 13 years old. It was on her birthday. The first time I saw her head was purple and she wasn't breathing. Her umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck, and I think her Apgar was 1 or 2. She came into the world's, quote, "We've got a bad shoulder," end quote. I don't even know if she was a boy or a girl, but quickly got pushed aside as people flooded into the room and whisked her across the room to a table to work on her. I was so scared. It didn't last long, though. They sucked out her lungs, unwrapped her neck, and got her a normal color. I peeked through the bodies and arms surrounding her and relayed to Julie, which is his wife, that she's a girl. They bundled her up, and I think I brought her over to Julie for Julie to see her for the first time. So in a way, from the moment she arrived on scene, Kay has been surrounded by drama or been the center of attention. And he puts that with a smiley face. I'm not really that scared anymore, even though becoming a dad of a teenager equals a new realm of dadness, uncharted territory, and adventure. Even though, just like the rough start, I may sometimes feel on the fringe of her life as she gets older, it doesn't last very long. We still are very connected and have tons of fun. I wait for her in the wings to give her hugs when she, quote, steps off the stage, end quote, of the various parts of her life. My baby is an amazing girl. That 13-year-old is turning 21 next month and got engaged last month. It's not so much a sadness as it is a wonderment to see your baby girl transform into a beautiful young lady. I think a lot of fathers get confused about how to navigate this or are content to sit back in amazement at a distance. because no doubt there really is grief that's hard to put into words in this. But what I've been learning is all you have to do is ask her. And just keep loving her the way you used to when she was little by being willing to do stuff you wouldn't normally do. Awkward stuff, but fun, because it's with her. If you're brave, you figure it out together. I saw a dad holding his daughter's hand in the parking lot as they finished up grocery shopping recently, and I had a flashback to when I did that with my girls. That hit me pretty hard. Truth is, it was hard not to feel jealous. I miss that. Sometimes I write oblique status on Facebook that alludes to something I may be going through or just have gotten through with someone, like theoretically, a daughter. Not because we're trying to present some front like we have it all together, but because if I were to try to say it out loud, I'd probably not be able to finish without one or both of us crying, and that would be awkward. And she probably has homework or laundry to do. So, sometimes things like, I love you, and you're beautiful, and I'm excited for your future even though you're going to be going far away soon, I write on Facebook, and we're okay with that. A daughter's beauty is a sanctifying means of grace in a father's life. It changes him. Instead of objectifying beauty, he learns to protect it and to guard her innocence and purity. Young dads, you know that awesome feeling when you hold your baby girl's hand or your little princess hugs your arm when she's ready to go for a walk? It doesn't go away when they're older. Might even get better because it gets less frequent. Daughters, hug your dads. One bit of advice for young dads: learn how to dance. I would agree with him on that. Maybe you're like me and sometimes daydream of times you'll have to step up and come through for your daughters in some way. One thing I almost guarantee she'll do when she gets older is to ask you to dance. Not the spastic punch dancing to Rafi or kid songs that you might do at playtime or in the kitchen, but the kind of dancing where you hold out your arms and she reaches up and puts hers on yours. You put one on her waist and you have to look into her eyes while not stepping on her toes. This is far more likely than needing to arm yourself to track down bad guys and rescue her from them, or even answering to a call to come fix a flat tire, but those seem doable. Not dancing. If your gut reaction to suggestions is, quote, anything but that, I'd rather get dipped in acid and crawl through broken glass, end quote, then you are exactly the dude who needs this, because the more you feel uncomfortable with that, the more likely it is you're doing this will be meaningful to your girl. And I will say that to all you dads listening, yes, it will be. My baby recently wanted to dance with somebody. I sent her brother out to do the job because he's a pretty good dancer. For whatever reason, he wasn't feeling it. Those brief moments watching her alone, just waiting, seemed like forever. I'm glad he didn't dance with her because I eventually did. It was my job and my privilege, my joy. I felt self-conscious and awkward until I focused on her. It was great, really great. It was also too short because the song ended too soon before I really could figure out what we were doing with our feet. I just wish I had been ready sooner. I wish she hadn't had that moment of doubt or waiting. So I hope when you say, quote, I'll do anything for her, end quote, as uncomfortable as it might make you, that you include dancing. It'll be worth it. To the dad who no longer braids his daughter's hair, she still needs you. To the daughters of those dads, he needs to know, let him know how. One of the hardest parts of kids getting old is how hard I have to work to get a belly laugh. His youngest daughter, I'm going to call her G, is still so easy. A funny voice, a pratfall, a twitch of facial expression, sarcasm, and she's cracking up like she's never seen anything so funny in her life. The older kids, not a blip. Do you have a dad who tries too hard? Whose jokes are really corny? Throw him a bone. Humor him. Maybe it's just me. I really don't think so. But one of the reasons he's trying so hard is your laughter is one of the sweetest sounds he's ever heard. When my daughter's fiance sat me down for breakfast to ask for permission to marry her, I had been worrying and preparing for that moment, really, all her life, or even before she was born. Dads, I know it will get hard. It will get awkward. It will be frustrating, but you can work and fight through the challenges. Trust me, it's worth it. I've wasted a lot of time wondering if or when my daughter would break my heart. I finally realized she broke it the moment she was born, and it's been open ever since, so I might as well stop being so awkward about it, and enjoy the time we have before I have to give her away. One of my greatest fears became one of my greatest joys. Being the dad of daughters. Why do I write so much about parenting? Because I just can't get over it. And I know there are dads who feel the same, but struggle with staying connected or lose it along the way. I know I have. Be brave. Be heroic. Smash through obstacles and pursue your kids. Sivan has gone on and written some more about his daughters, but I'm going to actually save some of this for when he and I actually have a conversation on a future episode. So dads, mentors, all of you who are listening and have a young woman in your life right now who you are helping raise, be role models to, I hope through today's information from my experience with my dad to Sivan, who is still a dad to teenagers and an adult, that you have found some words of encouragement to keep doing what you're doing. Stay connected to your girls. Let them know how much you love them. Dance with them. Play. Find out what they are interested in now that they're a teenager, because it does change as they get older. Know that no matter what, you still matter to them. And daughters, if you're listening right now, and you haven't said anything to your dad about how much he means to you, I would encourage you to let him know. Well, I appreciate you listening, and you can go out to launchingyourdaughter.com and sign up for my newsletter and get some tips and get some more information about an upcoming service that I'm going to be offering towards the end of the month, which is life coaching, and I'll give you some more information through the email and the newsletter. Thanks again. Take care. Thank you for listening to Launching Your Daughter with Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist. For more information or to stay up to date, go to launchingyourdaughter.com. You can sign up for my email list or join my Facebook group. Thank you.